Called out. What does it mean to be called out? Is it at a time when you're asked to say a prayer in front of your congregation? Is it at a time when you're driving 15 miles per hour over the speed limit and a cop pulls you over? Is it when your friend is calling you from down the hallway trying to get your attention? Yeah, these are all examples of what it is to be called out, but what does it truly mean to be called out by God? Allow me to tell you a story. This is a story of one of disaster and hope, one that many have gone through before, and I'm sure many are still going through it. This story of what it truly means to be called out will hopefully open your eyes and let you see what it truly means to be called out. Let's start with a around 14-year-old boy. This boy was and always has been a Christian, loving God and always going to church every Sunday morning and afternoon, even on Wednesdays too. However, the main part of our story starts around the middle school days of his life. He found a girl, not just an ordinary girl that he found attractive and wanted to date. No, this one was different. He felt as if this one was truly from God. However, he was wrong. He talked to the girl, had fun with her, enjoyed her company, and even got into her heart and learned her deepest, darkest secrets. The boy had never seen such horrid things in someone's life. Multiple suicides in her family, abuse from her father 1 or 2 times, suicidal thoughts of her own, and even taking part in self-harm. The boy took pity on the girl and day by day grew closer and closer and closer to her. This wasn't a bad thing at first. The boy had done unimaginable things for the girl. He took care of her every day. He checked on her almost every hour to make sure she was okay and not harming herself. He was actually able to get the girl to stop harming herself, which is something she has held closest to her heart from the time the boy got her to stop. Soon afterward, sin brought these unfathomable events into a dark cloud in the boy's heart. Satan was able to take these things and poke a tiny, tiny hole in the boy's heart, however, still being large enough to let sin in. The boy blindly fell in love with the girl, taking her as priority over every single thing in his life, being obsessed with her and loving her more than he even loved God. Satan had taken control. The hole in the boy's heart grew larger and larger, day by day, hour by hour. He was so blindly in love with the girl that the boy had an entire filter over his heart, allowing nothing but sin in. Satan had placed horrific things in the boy's heart. Not many of these sins, but enough of each as to tear the boy completely away from God. Pornography, lust, sex addictions, loss of faith in God, and a lust-filled love towards the girl he thought he truly cared about were all the things Satan had decided to put in the boy's heart. These things had now completely controlled the boy into doing Satan's bidding, without him even realizing it. He still thought that he loved God, that he wanted to be with him in heaven, that he wanted to follow his ways, but from what he was doing, Satan was blinding him with this fact, and had controlled his life, giving him every step towards the hell he would live in if he continued on this road. Disaster struck soon afterward, as if the sin was not already bad enough. The boy figured out that soon he would be forced to leave the girl he loved. Devastated, this fact allowed for Satan to completely, 100% take over the boy's heart. He lost all faith in God. He did not want to think he was there. Sin had obliterated his life, growing 10 times worse almost daily. But now, because of this, Satan had decided to do something even worse. He continued to add more and more sin into the boy's heart. This time, suicidal thoughts and depression. The boy had no idea what was going on. He was so young. Why was this happening to him? Why did he have to struggle with things like this? These are a few things he asked himself. The boy had now allowed Satan to destroy his life, ruin his relationship with God, and attempt to take the boy for himself. Again, all without the boy even realizing it. Thankfully, however, there was the smallest speck of hope in the darkness. He had sought help. He did not want this anymore. He couldn't deal with it. He wanted a better relationship with God. The boy wanted to be able to stop all this sin, so he started talking to someone. This person has a heart of gold that is completely filled with the presence and spirit of God. The two people started talking frequently, usually on a weekly basis. And finally, the boy's sin started to turn into redemption, and hope for a better future. Satan was not pleased. The boy started to do so much better in his faith, his relationship with the girl, and the sins that he had taken on. But one day, like Satan always does, he tried to take that feeling of hope and smash it on top of the boy into a million pieces. The love the boy had for the girl was shredded. Satan took this relationship and made absolutely sure that it would no longer exist. The boy was completely devastated. Yet again, Satan had taken hold once more. He had made sure that he took the suicidal thoughts and depression and shoved it into the boy's heart like he never had before. The boy was so close to falling into the hands of Satan, but it did not happen. God is always there. He was here for the boy the entire time. A light had been brought to the boy. Right before he was almost ready to fall into the hands of Satan, minor things had been explained to him, but that brought everything to him so clear. Finally, the door to Satan's hideout in the boy's heart was open, and God came in, destroying every last bit of Satan's wreckage that was there. The light had come. The boy's eyes were open, and he finally saw God with him again. It was all fixed. The boy had realized what had happened and was ready to share with the world what great and mighty power God has to save even the worst of sinners. The boy was redeemed, forgiven from his sins. He had never been so full of joy before. Satan had finally left his heart, and now the filter of Satan had been replaced with the filter of God to protect his heart. You might be wondering, well, the boy is fixed now, but what about the girl? Well, the boy was able to show her also what he had gone through and the breakthrough that he had. He explained that he could not love her like he did before, and she understood completely. And from then on, they had been the closest friends anyone could imagine. You see, this is an example of what it means to be called out by God. The boy wasn't a disaster. He was almost 100% into the hands of Satan. But the tiniest glimpse of hope in his heart allowed for God to come in and call him out. Call him out of his sin and call him forth to redemption. Not only did God call him out of his sin, but he called the boy out into the world. Because of what he had gone through, the boy had never been stronger in his faith than he is right now. God has called him out to shout to the world of God's great might and power. He has been called out by God every day to become a stronger person in his faith and tell the world of God's great and endless love he has for us. The boy has been called out to show the world Satan's disaster and what he will do to people The boy had been called out to help each and every person with their sin, so that one day he may be able to call out that person to follow God. This is what it means to be called out. Now, what are you going to do? Is Satan controlling you? Are you being blinded by the filter of sin that Satan is putting over your heart? Is God calling you into the world, and are you listening to him? That is the only important question. I do not believe that every single person has to go through something like this to be called out by God, but God calls out all kinds of people, men and women, sinners and the forgiven, to spread the word through their experience, to show everyone the indescribable power of God. You have been called out by God. Take his word now and go.